Nampak kan? Okay, right, thank you. All right, okay, so formally, welcome and Assalamualaikum. Good afternoon, good evening pada semua. This is the first class for ESC 4603, Energy Systems and Environment. So I am Dr. Irina Harun, and I will be teaching you for this class for the whole semester, right? So basically, I know that a lot of choices for this class different lah among people. So ada yang pilih memang sebab suka, saya tak tahu. So maybe ada juga yang ni je available, okay, untuk dia punya jadual pun okay. But anyway, secara menyeluruhnya, we have to look at knowledge as something that you can gain. Okay, whatever that you learn is something that will you can use further on in your life, not only now in your exam, for example. Exam memang penting, okay, but of course there's a lot of other things lepas tu in your work, you nak career, okay, a lot of things afterwards. So in your life, so apa-apa je yang you belajar, you have to do your best, learn all you can. Okay, so basically this course synopsis, okay, it covers the diversity of energy sources. Okay, by the way, okay, course synopsis ni ada dalam your buku panduan, right? So okay, kejap saya check participant. For now, saya tengok there's 15 people for now. So in my, so actually ada 19, so it's okay. Alright, so again, for synopsis. Okay, basically for energy, for this class in particular, we will look at the energy sources. Okay, so if you guys look at back home, energy will always relate to electricity kan, tekan switch on off yang tu je. But sebenarnya there's a lot of different energy sources. Okay, mungkin kadang-kadang we don't really see that, but we will look into that in this course. Okay, because we have a lot of different energy resources, especially here in Malaysia. We have, of course, natural resources. Okay, ada banyak. And then each different sources ni, we can generate different kinds of energy, and we can use different technologies to generate that energy. What exactly is the energy that you want? Electricity, or maybe your car, you want to put in petroleum. Okay, petrol, of course, you need that for your car, right? And you yourself, you need fuel, you need food. That is actually your energy sources. Okay, so how the energy is generated, we will look into that. And then the impact of energy generation and use. So of course, when you generate energy, you use energy, there's also impact. Okay, a lot of impact, especially on the environment. Of course, now we hear about climate change, so on and so forth. But there's also good benefit from energy use as well. You look at the socio-economic factors. Okay, a lot of good have been achieved with energy. But then you look at the impact to the environment and you see that this is not sustainable. Okay, and what can be done? So we do that by having clean and green energy. Okay, look at that, clean and green energy generation technologies, government policies, and current issues related to energy are also discussed, right? And of course, awareness on issues. So we will not only look at the theories, we will also look at what exactly are the issues related to energy, and then how aware are people about that. Okay, so we look at a little bit on the public awareness, okay, on these kind of issues and what has been done in terms of programs and campaigns, okay, in energy management. Okay. All right, so that is the course synopsis. Okay, so in summary, so I know I've talked about this before, but just bear with me. So there are many sources of energy, like I've said before. Okay, we have the natural ones, biomass, you know, arang, kalau anyone have done barbecue before, arang kayu arang tu, that is your energy resource. Okay, ialah sumber tenaga. So biomass. Water tu yang hydropower. Okay, so you have water as the energy resources. Wind, kincir angin. Okay, you have nuclear, of course, it's something which is an energy resource as well. Solar, of course, matahari lah. Okay. So from this, all of these available types of energy, you have many ways to get usable energy. Okay, bakar, you can burn the firewood. Okay, this is the primitive people. When the fire was discovered, that was the something that changed people from primitive into more technologically advanced. Okay, because when we have access to energy, there's a lot of different things that you can do with. Okay? So no longer only hunter-gatherers, for example. So we look at this is millions of years before. Okay, what happened to the early humans, right? And then when we look at how things are now, okay, how easy for us to get access to energy. Okay, so how clean it is, okay, how sustainable it is, that is an issue, all right? And of course, I've mentioned before, the impacts towards socioeconomy and the environment. So if you look at this one, just a little bit, so GDP is gross domestic product per capita. Okay, so basically it links the economy. So you look at 100 years ago, so everywhere is like this. Okay, so the economy was really bad back then, but you know, with the advance of technology, you have more access to energy. Okay, you have access to better standards of living. Okay, and of course, a lot of different things are interrelated as well. But look at now and everywhere, we are more advanced than we are before. Okay, and this is totally related to energy. So that is the good impact of energy, okay, to the socio-economy. Look at the standard of living. But of course, the cost to the environment, you know, when you ONG exploration in deep sea, okay, and then some oil spill. So that happened. Okay, if you know, a few years back, the BP spill that is really, really bad in New Mexico. So the impact is felt even 10 years after. Okay, and this one here is Chernobyl. I'm not sure if you guys know about this or not. So this will happen in 1986. So Chernobyl nuclear disaster. So if you want to know more about that, you can Google that. Okay, so a lot of so this is a nuclear power plant. So basically, it also relates back to how we use power, how we demand more power, and how people are trying to generate more power through different resources that are available. Okay, but then of course, lastly, the CO2, the you know, the greenhouse gas emissions, the interrelated problems with fossil fuels. Okay, and that brings us to fossil fuels versus renewable energy. Okay, this is what we will cover in this course as well. And this is something that I am very interested as well. Okay, so the reality now is fossil fuel, we know that it has its own impacts. However, the efficiency is really, really high. Okay, so we have all the technologies, the systems are there for fossil fuels, which is why the switch to renewable energy is really, really hard. Okay, so the challenge is how we want to transform the energy systems from the traditional one using the fossil fuels into new renewable energy. Okay, we have a lot of different ones. Of course, solar power, we have wind power, we have, especially now, I don't know if you've read it in the news about hydrogen. Okay, hydrogen is also one of the emerging technologies related to energy nowadays. So there's a lot of innovations out there. Okay, how we want to implement that in our life is something that is still an ongoing thing. Okay? We're not talking only about research, we're talking about policy, right? How people are going to do this in real life. Okay? So far so good. Okay, tak tu semua.
Okay, Doktor.
Okay,
Okay, Doktor.
okay ah. Baru 13 minit ni. Tapi kejap je. We only have 8 slides today. So very short. So you also have time to digest a little bit. Okay, I hope. So the course learning outcomes. Okay, so this is, I always like to share this in the beginning, especially in the first class, because you want to really know what you can get out of this course. Okay, of course, we talk about the outline before, okay, and that is an overall view, but this is specifically what you will be able to get from this course. Okay, so first is to identify methods of energy generation and habits of energy usage. Okay, so we look at all. So we look at the fossil fuels as well as the renewable energy. Okay. And then we will discuss clean and green energy generation technologies that are available. Okay, and there are some plans with this. Okay, with each of these, there are specific ways and specific plans on how we can achieve this together in this course, right? And lastly, the third one is to expand the knowledge on issues related to energy and the environment. Of course, this one is about issues. And if you look at A3LL, so we're going to have to do something related to case studies. Okay. So here is the teaching plan and assessment. Okay, of course, we will have 14 teaching weeks. Okay, if you look here, this is what I have planned. Okay, so the topics is here. Of course, okay. So Ramadan will start in week 4. Okay, so we will discuss this later, but just FYI, the first few weeks, of course, we will have normal class. Okay, and it depends to you guys as well. If you want to, if we as a class want to try to find an alternative time, okay, because we have to look at each members anyway, right? And we are still in at drop week, so I won't do that in the first week. We will look at that in the second or third week if we change the time. But I would say that during Ramadan, we will try different approach if possible. But of course, you guys will have, we can discuss this later on. All right. So another thing is about the assessment. Okay. So assessment, if you look here, your final exam is 40%, right? And the rest is 60%. So we will have test 1, 20%, and that will be around week 3 and week 4. So we look at how we progresses in each week. Okay, and the date for test 1 will be given earlier. So don't worry, I won't tell you that okay, tomorrow is test 1. Not going to happen. I will give you ample time to prepare. Okay, that is test 1. We will also have a few assignments, okay, and that will give you the formative assessment, okay? So you won't, but don't worry, I won't burden you too much. There won't be too many assignments because, of course, this is an elective course and you guys will also focus on your FYP as well, okay? So it's doable, definitely, no worries. It's totally to help you to understand further about specific topics. Okay, so not all week we will have assignments, only a few ones, which I think that you will benefit a lot when you do the tutorials. Okay, we will also have a group presentation. Okay, and that is 10%. and the case study report is 10%. Right? Any questions here?
So far no, Doktor.
No, Doktor.
Yeah. Still okay kan? Baru lagi ni. Okay. Alright. Nah, I don't think I will explain about what will be happening in each week, but you just look at the topic. So basically, these are all that we will cover. So we will have some calculations. So I have to tell you this at first. Okay, in the first week 2 and week 3, there are some calculations that will be involved because we will look at the principles of energy and thermodynamics. So we will look at work, force, okay, heat, those kind of concepts. And there are some where you have to do some calculations. And then afterwards will be more about topics where you have to understand your comprehension about the resources and technology that is related to that. Okay. Electricity here will also have minor calculations, okay, not too much, just how you want to calculate tariffs, for example. Okay, and this is important, you guys, because you can also use this to calculate your electricity bill. Okay, so if you have some problems, you know, maybe some issues with too high bill this month, okay, then you can check, right, using the concepts that you learn in this course. Okay, and then of course, environmental control technology. Okay, if you notice here, there's a star there because I've checked with all 14 weeks and only week 9 is there's one public holiday, but it won't affect us too much, I hope, because I've already separated that into 2 weeks. Okay, and we will learn as well as having a group presentation with this topic, environmental control technology. Okay, and lastly, for the case study report, this might not be on week 14. We will look at how we progresses, okay, along the teaching week, because that is the last topic, but I was hoping that we could have that submitted earlier. Okay, so you won't be burdened before your final exam, so you have more time to study, right? So that's it for the, you know,